Hello and welcome to Comic Solving Problems. I'm Stephen Allen.
And I'm Eric McElroy. Good evening.
Wow, we're back. This is unbelievable. It's been a bit of a while, but welcome along. Get yourself sat down for your probably slightly over half-hour comedy show where we look at the problems in the news. And I suppose actually there are some solutions in the news. To be fair, there are some problems being solved even when we're not here. I remember earlier today read that China is going to ban people under the age of 18 from playing more than 1 hour of computer games online a day. Which seems harsh because some of those kids actually made the phones anyway, so let them have the darn thing. But that's an example of a solution. We'll be bringing you more solutions to problems in the news as comics, us, solve problems, them, that.
Yes.
Well,
So there we go. So we should say welcome back to, well, Steve, welcome back to you. We've been taking some summer holidays. So if you're just joining us for the very first time, we've been on a little bit of a hiatus because we've been doing this since lockdown began back in 1993.
and looking at
When it
us,
started.
I think you can tell who had more time away on summer holiday by the obvious tan difference.
Yeah. Who's more tanned? Can't tell.
Look at this difference on that. So you've had a healthy number of weeks away. I was away for just under a week, but it was like the 1 week you were around, and then I guess you've been away for 3. Well done.
We did a lot of camping because we have kids and a dog, and that's all you could do. And we were not one of those people to go. Well, a couple of reasons. One, I have a British passport now, so if I'm going to have a holiday, I want to stay in Britain, right? Brexit. There's a reason for that. And the other reason is we're too poor to afford a foreign holiday.
Another Brexit-related issue.
Yeah, exactly. So we did a lot of camping. Yeah. So did you go camping over the summer holidays?
Not gone camping.
No?
We've not been on for so long. I'm trying to work out when I'm meant to go back to to give you the full recap and update. There was a virus going around. Did we talk since that happened?
Yeah, I know. I got that in university.
Okay.
It's a weekend that was crazy.
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Depends. Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I went on holiday a bit. I've been doing some work. Managed to do a bit more radio, but I was doing that before we stopped. And just desperately trying to cling to anything that looks like work. Hey.
Well, the good news is we started this because we were locked in, and we're not locked in anymore. We're both getting out there doing different things, but there are still problems in the world.
There are indeed, aren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought they'd all go away once the whole COVID thing was over, because it's totally over.
Yeah, I'm sure more on that later. So as we plow on through the show, you can see the thing on screen. You can chuck some money in our pot to keep this project afloat.
Yes.
But we should say, wherever you're watching this, if you want to be involved in the comments section that we'll be looking at heavily, do it on the YouTube thing, youtube.com/comic solving problems. That's the place to be at if you want to be doing some of the chatting and conversational stuff. God, it's been a while since we've been speaking out loud online.
We have not. Yeah. And I can see there's a lot of welcome backs in the chat. So for those of people who are watching live, so we'll catch up with all of you. We're so glad that you're back with us as well, that you found us again after our moving dates and moving times and everything else. But this is going to be our time, isn't it?
Yeah.
9 p.m. UK time, live every week on a Tuesday until the next Tuesday, whichever comes first.
Yeah. Is it 9 o'clock now? Good God.
It is. In the UK.
Right.
But it could be whatever time it is wherever you are.
Sweet.
And you might be watching this back at another time.
So on that note then, I think we are fully up to date. If I can remember which buttons get rid of the little icon-y things.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Because we did such rehearsal for this show back after 3 or 4 weeks, didn't we?
I got no idea how it works.
So I think I'm tackling the first problem. Is that right?
Yeah, take it away, Mr.
Go.
Eric McElroy.
And I mean, it is comics solving problems, so it's meant to be a lighter touch, but this is a bit of a serious issue. And it is a time when it's the problem for when a president should resign. And we've seen that time is now, at least if you're a Republican. Because right now, Trump's presidency, according to Fox News, which we know is very fair and balanced, is calling for Donald Trump and highlighting people calling for Donald Trump to resign. And lots of Republicans are doing that because, they know it's time for Biden to resign. For the last guy, they didn't mind if he sold us out to the Russians, if he used his office for personal gain, if he grabbed a few women inappropriately, if he lied to us countless times, if he told us to take bleach and beach to fight a horrible pandemic. That was all fine. But now they're calling for Biden to go. And there's loads of them doing it, like this.
This wasn't just a single mistake. This has been a 2-week-long pattern of rampant incompetence, and he needs to be removed as commander-in-chief. And this is heartbreaking because it did not have to be this way.
Yeah, there's one thing the Trump presidency was known for. It's competence, Steve. And yep, there was never a call for him to resign at that point, even an insurrection. I mean, if the insurrection had worked properly, we wouldn't be in this situation. None of these Republicans would be calling for Trump to resign. That was a Senate candidate from Pennsylvania who's running on the Republican ticket. We've got another one of the Republicans who's running against him in that primary here. Let's see if she's on the same message point.
We deserve better. Joe Biden needs to resign.
No. So constant messaging. They're consistent with that. So what is it that they're so upset about that they think that the president of the United States needs to resign from office? What more have these Republicans learned?
What I just heard in there is beyond appalling to me. What Americans need to know at home is this administration has failed you on every single level.
Wow. This is really bad, Steve. What could it be that's uniting all these Republicans who are normally at each other's throats? What is it that's so terrible that Joe Biden needs to resign the office of the presidency? His dog. Major issue. Emails show that Biden's dog was nippier than we thought at the White House. Now that's actually not what they were upset about. That's not it at all. Of course, obviously it's Afghanistan, but I'm not going to joke about that because it's really serious. And we've been withdrawing. It's a withdrawal that was started in the Trump presidency. Things obviously did go horribly wrong. This has been a disaster in the making for decades now, literally. There's a lot of blame to go around, both on the Democrats and the Republican side of things. And it's heartbreaking for the Afghans, for the soldiers and their families. And you'd think it would be time for the country to come together. Normally that's what happened when we were, had problems overseas. Democrats, left and right, Republicans would come together. But instead we got all of this.
I have no trust. I have no confidence in this administration. Every single one of them should resign.
So Marjorie Taylor Greene there, if you didn't know who she was, Marjorie Taylor Greene has no trust. Now, if you haven't followed American politics as much as I do, or I think you dabble in it a little bit as well, Steve, Marjorie Taylor Greene, have you heard about her? Oh, yeah. She's the lady that called for the wildfires, said the wildfires were blamed on secret Jewish space lasers. She's got a lot of credibility when it comes to people resigning, wouldn't you say? I mean, if she knows about the space lasers, why didn't she recommend that we use the space lasers to help with the extraction?
Very good idea.
That would have been really helpful, don't you think? Yeah. But it's not just her calling for Biden's resignation as well. We've got a medical perspective who says that he's not fit for office, too. This is somebody who's now in Congress, but who was a doctor.
And I will tell you, I'll speak as a doctor right now, a doctor that serves on the Armed Services Committee, a doctor that served in the war on both Iraq and Afghanistan. But you know what? We are at the very beginning of this crisis that Biden has created. He cannot handle it. He is not prepared for this. He is not cognitively fit to be our commander-in-chief right now. That's being evidenced every single day, more and more.
Now, Steve, I'm a Democrat. I support Biden, and I have to admit this Afghan withdrawal has not gone well. You worry about a guy who's 78 years old, who's president of the United States, and everything else. You think, well, this guy, he's a member of Congress, and he's a doctor. He's Dr. Ronnie. I don't know if you remember him. He used to be the chief medical officer in the White House. You might remember him from some of the press briefings that he did when he was working under the last administration.
Explain to me how a guy who eats McDonald's and fried chicks and all those Diet Cokes and who never exercises is in as good a shape as you say he's in.
It's called genetics. I don't know. It's some people have, just great genes. I told the president that if he had a healthier diet over the last 20 years, he might live to be 200 years old. I don't know.
Steve, that is definitely a doctor who has recommended someone take hydroxychloroquine at some point.
Yeah.
So they've been really beating up Biden on the whole Afghanistan withdrawal, and understandably, to be fair, it hasn't gone very well. But there is the story about the dog biting. That is a real story. And you have to think, well, why is that in the news? Why does it matter what the president's dog does? And for that, we have to look at Senate candidate Kathy Barnett.
I know some are saying, hey, don't be political. Let's not bring politics into this. We need to become very sober in our thinking as Americans. Everything is political. There is nothing that is done under the sun that does not have a political bent to it.
She's right, Steve. Everything is political that we do now. Even a dog biting a man. These are German shepherds. They're German dogs. That's kind of what they do. That's about politics. And the reason we know about this is because of politics, because we know about the extra bites of the dogs because of a Freedom of Information request from Judicial Watch, who's a group of right-wing Republicans who basically, it's a real thing. They filed a lawsuit to find out some emails about Hillary Clinton. Of course, they're still going on about that, Benghazi, and these emails came out about the Biden dogs. Can you imagine wasting a Freedom of Information request on this? I mean, you realize, I don't know if you're familiar with U.S. law, Steve, but you only ever get 3 Freedom of Information requests. You have to go to the lamp, and you rub the lamp, and then you get one. And then you rub, and you get another. It's just like, I studied law at Aladdin University. Right. Now, what we learned in there, basically, that this, until Afghanistan happened, this dog thing is really the biggest scandal of the Biden presidency so far. We learned in these terrible emails that basically Major was the dog that bit some Secret Service agents. There was a little bit of nipping going on in there. And, it was a number of problems with Major. I would say they were major problems.
Oh, we need a sound effect. I'll get one for next time.
It's been a while since we did the show. I mean, I can't be expected to write a good joke. Or any jokes, to be honest. But I have spent this time while we've been off working effectively. I have actually managed to file my own Freedom of Information request, Steve, and I have managed to get CCTV footage of a Secret Service agent and Biden's dog, which I can reveal for the first time right here on Comics Solving Problems. That's bad, isn't it, Steve? That's bad. It's bad. Not only is that bad because that's exactly what happened at the White House. I think it's bad because I think I've used that same clip before when we've talked about this story. But this dog biting thing we've learned isn't just something that's been limited to the Biden administration. It's happened before. And I'm not just talking about Eric Trump biting Don Jr. That's right. I'm calling Eric Trump a dog. I'm calling him out.
Boom.
Boom. This goes further back to another dog named Major, which put the United States in a very difficult political situation in World War II, where Roosevelt had a dog named Major, also named Major, who bit the British Prime Minister.
How very dare.
Now, obviously, we don't want to make light of anything like that, but has Boris Johnson been to the White House yet? Just saying, maybe. That could be a visit I could enjoy seeing.
Give him a couple of steaks to take with him. Hold these for me. Yeah.
Bring it. I think Boris deserves a little bit of a.
Imagine what he'd look like after he'd been roughed up by dogs. Exactly the same.
Yeah. Exactly the same. So there we go, Steve. Got to the bottom of the Biden dog story. Biggest story in the news. I think that's been the biggest story over the summer, hasn't it?
Definitely. I'm actually, the only thing I did think when you were mixing up Afghanistan withdrawal stories and the dog biting, there's an Afghan pun in there. Just saying, if you wanted to dig for it, you could have found, there's a Afghan pun. You could have done it.
Is there?
Yeah.
Is there a dog?
Afghan hound.
Oh.
Type of dog.
Are they, is that what they make the blankets out of?
Yeah. No, that's the people. No, they make their blankets out of people.
Dear.
That's what they'll do now.
Right.
That's the problem.
That's probably. Right. Should we dive into the comments then?
Yeah, I can't remember who does comments when.
I think I do comments now, so that because it was my story. So couple things. Thank you very much. Remember, if you haven't already, smash the like button. We're going to catch up on some of the things. We're going to skip some of the salutations at the beginning. But thank you very much. It's great to see Mark and Chris and Tom and Chris and Britt and everybody here. Let's see, where do we pick up stuff talking about the story? Because I can't, because you guys are talking to each other, which we love.
You could start at the newest and go backwards, and we'll just have a few.
Well, that'll make sense. There we go. If Johnson got bitten by one of Biden's dogs, they'd need to inoculate the dog, said Mark.
Nice.
Fair enough. Probably what happened is that dog would get pregnant.
Oh
dear. I don't know what that says about anyone. Britt says Major need to hang out with the Queen's corgis. She could give a flying beep on how nippy they are.
Oh yeah.
Are the Queen's corgis known to be bitey?
Well, if you were one of them, you would, wouldn't you? If you knew, you're like, I'm a corgi, and who am I owned by? The Queen. I'm going to bite you. What are you going to do about it? Boom. You got the power. Be backed up.
Let's just hope they bite Prince Andrew a lot. Probably a better taste. Chris says, so FOI, Freedom of Information requests, are similar to cricket umpire decision reviews then?
Exactly the same process.
Exactly, because I understand that reference totally. Because cricket is a sport, and they have umpires.
Yeah, look at that.
Do you understand what that means?
That's nearly good enough to play the sports jingle.
iBogey's laughing at Mark, which is not the idea of the show, but thanks, iBogey. Mark says, just think, if Donald Trump had pulled out earlier, we'd never have had Barron, Tiffany, Eric, Ivanka, or Don Jr. That is LOL, Mark. Well done. Let's see here. So the meeting with Biden didn't change a thing, iBogey says. Not sure what that's in reference to. And I think we're caught up on the comments about this. But yes, hello, everybody. Thank you very much. We'll put, if you like what we're doing and want us to keep doing it, of course, we'll put the Ko-fi link in there. Or if you want us to stop doing it, sometimes giving us money is even more of an incentive.
Yeah. Well, the only way we'll stop is if we can afford to.
Yes. And you can subscribe to the channel as well, because we've got big dreams. Big dreams.
Yeah. Get yourself subscribed, right? And the money in the box, there's the URLs, right? God, I feel out of practice. Not done one of these in a while. Right, so problems. We solve them, yeah?
Yeah.
Here we go. I'm going to solve the big problem. This has probably been one of the biggest news stories. It's a huge issue. It's the problem of the Paw Patrol film. It is, it's propaganda. Cancel culture mob, this is the woke people, as the Daily Mail would refer to them as, are calling it propaganda because it indoctrinates children with a pro-police stance. Ooh, this has upset a lot of people. I mean, both of us have recently spent a lot of time on right-wing media arguing our case, and maybe it's rubbed off a little. So let's have a go at what the silly woke people are trying to attack Paw Patrol. It's a kid's film, for crying out loud. Let's have a look at a still of, there they are. Yeah, I just look at it, and all of a sudden I wish to be in a police state. They've done so much in terms of indoctrinating me. They've not done as much as, obviously, the village people. If it weren't for them, I don't think I'd have my massive respect for traffic cops and Native Americans. It's good, isn't it? A nice cross-section of community there. They're the only reason I joined the Navy. But anyway, this film is apparently making kids love the idea of being controlled by police. Someone on Twitter said that Paw Patrol is absolutely propaganda. And the fact that they centre on Chase, this is the one that's the police dog, that's the main star, which means they're trying to get kids to love the idea of a police state effectively. Propaganda. I hadn't come across that word.
Catchy.
Yeah, I guess it's a mixture between cop and propaganda. First time I saw it. Well, I just presumed it would be a new song by Barry Manilow.
At the propaganda, your rights only stretch to Miranda. At the propaganda, brutal and fascist, you'll be hit by my fist at the copper. We are police.
Stops there, don't worry.
I've missed this.
Yeah, you missed that? It's been a while. Hasn't it?
Not long enough.
So that it's not just people on Twitter though, because The Guardian did a review and they said that Paw Patrol is authoritarian propaganda. A review in The Guardian. Of course, it's not the first kids' entertainment that's come under the same sort of criticism. I believe the kids' TV show Brum was criticised for being pro-car industrialisation and trying to ruin the environment. The kids' TV show Rosie and Jim was perpetuating the stereotype that French women like ginger men, and that's just not true, sadly. And I think the biggest problem was He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. As The Guardian pointed out, it should be called They Person and the Mistresses of the Universe. That still doesn't work, does it? It's a very difficult one to make woke, although they've tried, because the new series, I don't think it works as well.
They person. White privilege.
So at least they tried. So that's where we're dealing with it. This film is making, because its main star is the dog, and they had all the other dogs that they could have picked from, and because they're doing that, they're teaching us that they're making us subservient to the police. Another tweeter said, pretty much all of the rescues that happen could be handled by the fire department dog or the air rescue dog, yet they center the movie around the police dog being the hero. How very dare. Respecting the police. And this is the weird thing that we've got in the UK now, that we have this mantra of defund the police that we've just nicked from America. We have this strange mentality where we see something happen in America and think, we better protest about the same thing. Like, there'll be people who would probably go on a protest trying to disarm police in Britain. They don't get their heads around it. We import certain things from America that we need to stop. Having an obsession with defunding the police, using the word schedule, things like that we need to stop importing from America, because it's different over there, isn't it? Like, defund the police in America is all about, stopping, like, effectively demilitarizing them, whereas over here, if anything, there's a good argument for putting more funding in the police, given that Boris Johnson has promised to fund extra cops that they got rid of in the first place. The same people who will spend their time in The Guardian talking about defunding the police will complain about Tory cuts. I looked online, there are loads of people tweeting about Tory cuts. A lot of them are just typos, just one letter away, isn't it? But it's a serious problem. But then you think, well, let's have a look at the definition of what we're talking about. If we're using in the UK the phrase defund the police, what could it mean for us? Well, Wikipedia defines it as supporting divesting funds from police departments and reallocating them to non-policing forms of public safety. And could that work over here? I mean, I remember lots of news stories about the police being too busy to deal with crimes because they're doing other things. Police cars being used to transport people to and from hospital, having to attend situations to do with mental health, effectively being an ambulance again, turning up to things that maybe you need your fire department for, the fire brigade as we'd call it over here. So actually, if we put more funding in those other sections, we wouldn't have to be using the police as a mop-up service. So let's have a look at that tweet again. Pretty much all of the rescues that happen could be handled by a well-funded police department, a funded air rescue, which is similar, I guess, to an ambulance. So maybe you wouldn't have to focus that much on having your main character as a dog. That means Paw Patrol are giving us the wrong idea when it comes to funding the police. They've given us the message that now we need to defund the police. Oh my God, the woke people were right from the start. We'll never work on right-wing media again.
Wow.
Yeah, who'd have thought?
I thought maybe with your they person thing, that's a little bit, sounds like you've been infected a little bit with some of the commentary that you've been absorbing on some of that right-wing media.
They person and the mistresses of the universe. I mean, if I had animation skills, I'd be making full episodes of that, and it would be the only chance of having any success in my career.
As long as they matched your singing skills.
I was in a rush today. Right, it's into the comment section. Let's put that up so you can comment more if you watch this on the YouTube version. Where do we pick this up from? Jack saying, Princess Anne has a criminal record for allowing her dog to be out of control. Huge, scary mouth. Not a nice dog either. Excellent. Love those jokes. iBogey says, she's my favourite, but we don't know what you're talking about. Copaganda, isn't that something to do with a Carry On film? Lovely. Although iBogey says, genius, you're back in my good books. Bring back Dolly Parton, says Mark. Are you sure?
No.
Are you sure?
Go back. The clips are online. Go look at it if you want to be able to stick in your mouth.
It might make you throw up in the same way that hearing a British person say schedule.
That's the way you say it. Oregano. How's that sound? Oregano.
The Manilow method, says Chris. Yeah, I'll tell you that.
There we go.
Miranda writes couplet. Love it. It was the only thing I could think of that rhymes with it, and it's policing related. First song back, says Brit. It's a hit. I mean, it's the best one so far.
So far back.
Yeah. He, them, says iBogey. Them person. He-Man. Come on. A good cup of tea should always be the colour of they person's face.
I don't think we can say that.
I've got freckles. I don't drink tea. Thanks for that, iBogey. I'm not sure that's... It's hard work to keep.
If you've got freckles in your tea, you've definitely done the tea wrong. Yeah. The tea bag is burst.
Facing the wrong way. Mark says, are these defunders the same people who are out and about protesting about not being allowed to go out? I don't think they're the same ones.
No, those are different
It
ones.
really is a branding issue, isn't it? Defund the police is a sentence. Who are you going to convince who doesn't already agree with you? And yet the idea of funding other things so the police don't have to do non-police jobs, everyone would be on board with it. This video will change politics. People will see this and no longer argue over it. I always think that every time I do a feature. It's never happened yet. And I think we are... Oh, Paw Patrol plus Power Rangers equals bottom-sniffing power poochers.
Who said that?
Mark Randall says that.
Mark.
Okay, it's another option for a spin-off, but I think I will make, as Chris calls it, he person and the collective of the universe. You can't say he. How are that? People are just being so offensive in the comments. They person.
They'll never learn, but that's our target. That's our target. If you're watching, we need to play to our. That's what we've seen with the other people who are successful on YouTube, Steve. We need to play to them. We can't put our own opinion in this. We have to be like, yes, we will always say He-Man. Yeah. But have you seen the new She-Ra?
She-Ra or they?
No, she's a She-Ra. She's gay. It's a whole new cartoon.
That's how it works. Okay.
Her partner is another female animated character.
That's what she means now, is it? She is a she. She's gay.
No, but She-Ra is gay.
But is
that's the big reveal.
But he and a He-Man.
She is in this case. Okay. No, but it's He-Man and She-Ra. They're from the same master universe.
I worry that if we're talking about this too much, someone who's not necessarily our target demographic will change their Twitter bio to have their pronouns as she/Ra. And they're not going to be helping. I'm just saying.
But if they do that, it's perfectly acceptable, and we will support whatever they like to be called.
Losing viewers again for us. Damn it. We need to be all.
Damn it.
But
no, we can go
about it.
Right. Make sure to support the show if you'd like to. Who man, says Mark. We man, says iBogey. Yeah, it's good.
There's the link if you'd like to get stuck in to pop in some money in the pot. Keeping this project now we're back. The lights,
Subscribe.
the lighting, the electricity bill has been carrying on, but the shows haven't been bringing in money, so we are going to need some of this.
And it's going to get dark soon, which means that we have to use the actual electricity because we were just using the sunlight all summer.
Crap.
Sunlight. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was not a sunny summer in the UK. So, is it back to my problem?
It is. Mr. Erich McElroy, what you got for us? This
is a problem with ivermectin. Ivermectin.
Yeah.
Ivermectin. It's the problem with ivermectin, which is very similar to a problem with hydroxychloroquine, and that it's hard to say. I've been forced to learn how to try to say it, and I've had to learn how to say it because people, especially in my home country, are idiots. Because I don't know if you've followed this very closely, but we could see here that ivermectin is a horse dewormer that Republicans have started to take because they want to own the libs and not take the COVID vaccine.
Okay.
So it's horse worming medicine that mega heads and others are taking to fight COVID, and they're doing it because they don't want to follow that damn Fauci.
Science.
They're doing it to get revenge and to prove him wrong. That horrible man who spent his entire career trying to keep idiots like those people alive. I mean, so they're taking this. They're really taking it in huge amounts. They're running out of it at vet shops all over the U.S. I mean, the only good thing you can say about it is that it's not bleach. It's probably better. Now, you might say to yourself, Steve, what could possibly go wrong with taking veterinary-grade medicine for removing worms from horses?
What could possibly go wrong with taking veterinary-grade medicine for removing worms from horses?
Yeah, I mean, a creature that's much bigger than the average human, unless you're in the United States. But we can go to Mississippi to find out.
The Mississippi State Department of Health confirming today that, quote, at least 70% of the recent calls to poison control in Mississippi have been related to ingestion of livestock or animal formulations of ivermectin purchased at livestock supply centers. Ivermectin. Why are people taking livestock formulations of ivermectin in Mississippi? Ivermectin, livestock formulation, that's a horse dewormer.
Hey, what's good for my horse is good for me. I'm not taking that Fauci ouchie. I don't believe in the science until I get sick and I need the science, in which case sign me up for an ICU unit, please, quickly. But you know what? The Lord will take care of me. And it looks like the Lord wants to kill quite a few of us because the vaccination rate in Mississippi is only about 30%. And instead, we're rubbing this worm stuff on there because I got lots. I got my horses. But where, Steve, could they possibly be getting this idea to take the ivermectin medicine? Where could this be? I mean, it's just, was it down by the horse and the horse was like, you should try this? Or, was it down at the feed? So I don't know what people in Mississippi do. I'm a city boy. Yeah, Mr. Ed, that's a possibility there. But no, where are they literally?
We know that our FDA has in many ways failed us by not allowing for the use of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine.
Pelted them with questions about COVID-19 and the vaccine and therapeutics, hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin.
On June 5th, Weinstein discussed the benefits of a drug called ivermectin, which can and is around the world used to treat and prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
Well, I get it. People are taking horse medication on the advice of a bunch of jackasses. It's very clear. But this is a real problem. It's gotten so bad in the U.S. that even the FDA has gotten involved. They put this tweet out there. You're not a horse. You are not a cow. Seriously, y'all, stop it. With a link to an article about why you should not use a horse medication that has not been proven by the FDA and is designed for huge mammals. Again, I know there's big people in the U.S., but they're not that big. But can you imagine, because you wanted to be a scientist at one point in your life, Steve, you managed to get a good job. You worked for the FDA. It's one of the most prestigious drug administrations in the world. And you're sitting there thinking, I'm working hard to save American lives. Hey, Steve, I've got a job for you today. Oh, what's that? I'm so excited to be here. I've studied science for the last 16 years. What is it? Could you send a tweet to tell people not to put fucking horse cream that goes up a horse's butt into their bodies? They will follow that science. But they won't follow our science. So I have to write this tweet? I mean, what is the point? Are these people worth saving?
On the plus side, they're not going to get horseworms.
That is very true, because those are a bitch, let me tell you. I know that.
I had horseworms once. The doctor said I was in a stable condition.
Just take a minute. We don't rehearse this, guys.
Yeah, you can tell.
But at least here in the UK, we don't have to worry about that kind of nonsense, right? This is only an American problem that the media in America does, and that would never happen here in the UK. That would absolutely never happen in the UK.
So what about ivermectin?
Ivermectin, again, even the manufacturers say it doesn't work.
But again, we've seen high cases of this working very well in developing countries, but also in Japan.
There we go. It's coming here.
Coming soon.
Hurry down to your local stables. I don't know if you live next to a farm, folks, but you better go down there because we might be 80% vaccinated in the UK, but you might want to get some of that horseworm and stuff. A bit be posh. Charles would probably get some organic, But is there an upside, Steve, to this anti-vax, mask-denying, horse worm-taking? No, there is not. But there is this. A number of prominent anti-vax conservative radio hosts have died in the last month from COVID. And a few pastors who also said that COVID wasn't real as well. Now, obviously, that's a personal tragedy for their families and their loved ones and so on. And so I'm not going to dance on their graves, but I might do a little trot.
Oh, God. You can't say that.
You can't just choose when you believe in science, as we've discussed many times.
Yeah.
And I know you don't believe you can even choose to not believe in science, but these
you can
fucking idiots.
It's indifferent to science whether you choose to believe it or not.
I just don't know what to think. Anyway, let's look at the comments.
They probably just need to start making the ivermectin suppositories really big. That's the only way you can get it, and then up to you, innit? Knock yourself out.
They just, for all these things, they just need to say recommended by Obama. All they have to do. All they have to do. Somebody didn't like She-Ra. Let's going back to the last one. Chris says, is sunlight the same as alcohol-free lager? I think that was talking about the fact that we're now using electricity again.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioning the word will make YouTube defund you. I think well, luckily I can't pronounce vector.
Yeah.
That's why I can't say it properly, because we don't want to get defunded. It's been approved for human consumption, says iBogey, after years of being used for veterinary medicine.
Even
Okay,
if that's
right. So
true, if you're still buying it from the vets, you're getting the horse dose.
what could possibly go wrong with that? You know, Mark says, I saw an image of livestock store in America with a sign that says, I will only sell Ivermectin to you if you show me a picture of you riding a horse.
Nice.
Yeah. And what about the worm in the horse? I'd like to see how big those worms are.
Well, I mean, they surely, because we are mammals, I mean, it's probably a good dewormer for humans. So, look, there might be some complications with this. There might not be. I don't think it's going to stop there being as many people with coronavirus, but there will be fewer people with worms. Like, there is an upside to it.
Horse worms.
Yeah. Well, you know, horse tranquilizer, great night out. You know, there's a lot of crossover.
Just take the goddamn vaccine. Mark asks, does the medicine, the Ivermectin, list all the side effects or only the main ones?
Main ones.
Main. M-A-N-E.
Brilliant.
For those of you who didn't get the joke. Let's see. Stable condition, nay, and thrice nay.
Oh, a flipping Frankie Howard impression in the show. Nice.
iBogey says it treats river blindness, which is a big problem.
All right.
So I don't know if that's a side effect of COVID-19, but I don't think it is. It's a vaccine. Just take the vaccine.
I took it, and actually, I did have a side effect. I got the trots. I've missed this. I've missed doing this.
It's good. It's good. Right. Well, please remember to like the show if you haven't already, and of course, we'll put the Ko-fi link there. And I think we've got one more problem to solve.
Yep.
And then,
And then we're almost done. So you're nearly there. Don't worry. See if I can remember how to do this one, because look, we've not been on for so long. This is a problem that we keep returning to certain favourites. The Gwyneth Paltrow's various candles. We talked many different things. Monoliths, being in space. There's always some sort of alien thing. However, I thought we'd go back to solve a problem that has still not been solved, and it's the problem of Yuri, who he's the man. Just to catch us up, he met a sex doll in a nightclub. And
as you do.
As you do. Just, kind of, hey, do you come here often? Oh, you can't move, so I guess you're always here. And then they fell in love. They got married. Then she was broken around Christmas. He then had an affair with a strange mask that looked like you could do some good welding. I don't think that's what he was doing. Then he met another sex doll who had the lower half of a chicken, as you do. And thankfully, after Christmas, otherwise I would have done stuffing jokes. And then, I can't remember if he married, there were two sex dolls, but one of them was definitely called Lola. What Lola wants, Lola gets. And then, I think we're up to date. So that's our friend. He's a regular appearer on the show. Surely there can't be any new news about what he's up to? Well, guess again. The bodybuilder who married a sex doll has fallen in love with an ashtray and plans to give it a vagina. That is interesting, isn't it? Why do you need to give it a vagina? It's already got a butt. Ooh. But the bigger issue, cigarette butt, that works. That's fine. We don't get away with that.
Yeah.
I mean, who on earth wants to go out with an ashtray? There are people who don't date smokers because it would be like kissing an ashtray. This guy wants to kiss an actual ashtray. It's the worst of all the objects, isn't it? Get a little picture there, a quote from the story. It says that the muscle man came across a massive ashtray. I bet he did. Thank you very much. Should go home now. I think we're done. It's all downhill. All downhill. There. Thank you.
I needed that music when I did my major joke earlier.
You could drag it up. It's in the options down the bottom. So, is it an attractive ashtray? He met this ashtray in a nightclub. What's it like? I've seen a picture, and attractive. I'd say it's smoking. But so, would you really go for an ashtray? It seems like a rather strange thing to do. I know he's He's interested in various objects, which seems absolutely fine. In the news story, it said that in July, he expressed an interest in a groundbreaking gay sex robot. Good God. They make them out of pneumatic drill pieces. But you don't get that joke, do you? I knew you would.
No.
Groundbreaking. Groundbreaking.
That's what you use to break ground.
Yeah, and in America, jackhammer, I believe, might be the phrase.
Oh, yeah. If you'd said jackhammer, I would have got it.
They make them out of jackhammer pieces. And then, what was the other line from the story? So that they then spoke to a sex doll worker who was making this groundbreaking sex doll. He also said they're currently working on a sex doll with a bionic penis powerful enough to lift trucks. Who wants to put a penis in a truck? Oh, yeah, this guy. Yep, okay, fair enough. You're right, there is a market. But then there's part of me that doesn't believe this anymore, because he's in the newspapers so often that I think they just get bored and call him up and go, you fallen in love with any other objects yet? And then he's just got to the stage of panicking and just looking around like, Ashtray. He's doing the sex version of this.
I love desk. Brick, are you just looking at things in the office and saying that you love them? I love lamp.
But a lamp with an artificial vagina put on it. And on that topic, don't put an artificial vagina on, well, most things really, but certainly not an ashtray. Don't put an artificial vagina on anything that you're about to stub a cigarette out on, because that's just gonna go wrong, and that is offensive. I'm open-minded, but that needs to never exist. So look, I think it's time to check out the ashtray. Are you ready to see? I'm not sure you are ready to see.
I want to see it.
Here it is. Here is our friend and the ashtray. Ooh. It's not bad, that, isn't it? It's quite... So he met this ashtray in a nightclub. It seems sleek, nice curves. And in the article, he said, I don't want to buy a new ashtray or that they give it to me forever. I want it to continue to work. Oh, thank God, because that's modern and progressive. And for a while there, I thought he was like an old traditionalist. An old traditionalist who gets married to a sex doll and fucks an ashtray. I thought he was going to be old school, but thank God he's quite modern and progressive. But I tell you who I worry about in all of these stories. Every other inanimate object in his house. Because at some point, they're all nervous and they're all thinking this. Oh, shit, he's home. Emotional. So here we go. We're up to date with our old friend.
Why a cucumber?
Really? Because...
I mean, I would think that's he's... Well, okay. But I mean, if you're worried about him going into...
Hollow it out.
I would have chosen a melon.
I think JML do a little device that hollows out the cucumber.
Is it a jackhammer?
Yeah. The JML Jackhammer, the new cucumber removal system.
Just
only $19.99, and that's not all. You get a DVD.
Tub of butter.
And a melon. Well,
different things.
Yeah, I was running late and just searched for cucumber because I thought they're just the standard go-to sex thing.
What about an aubergine?
But do you reckon there would have been a thing that lets me put my eyes on an aubergine? Okay, well, we'll have a look next time.
But there is a thing that lets you put your eyes on a cucumber.
Oh, yeah. Loads of them. That was the best looking one. Right, let's try and get up to date with some of the comments on this one. The YouTube thing's on the screen, so if you want to get involved, you can do. Normal trots or the galloping trot, says Mark Randall. I've had a case of the both. Benson and Hedges, don't know what that's about. iBogey.
Those are cigarettes.
But what's Benson and Hedges because of jumping hedges, maybe on a race.
Sure.
But onto this topic, Mark says Gwyneth Paltrow is selling ashtrays, probably. At some point. And if she doesn't, we'll get there first. Sounds like a real good idea. He's a player's. That's good. iBogey says, no, that's a jackhammer. Yeah, I think we've cleared up the jackhammer joke.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking. Maybe an ashtray would be a perfect match, says Stephen Leatherdale.
Oh.
Dissemble Stephanie. Is there a Which one was Stephanie? She'd been put in pieces. Chris Curling says the truck will probably come with an ashtray. You're right. It's a twofer. It's a threesome technically. Mark says, has Yuri ever seen Robot Wars? I hope not. JML courgette spiraler. That'd hurt, says Chris. Jay, you got to be careful with your JML. I think it's safe to say they don't make sex toys. Don't try.
I think I figured out why he wants to put a vagina on the ashtray.
Yeah?
It's because he's a cigar smoker.
Yeah. There's a mental image to leave you on. Wow. I mean, the last stories are never highbrow. And if ever Yuri's in there.
Never. Not when you're doing the ones from the Express, no.
Oh, Daily Star.
Or Daily Star.
Daily Star. I'm sure they just call him up every so often and go, Yuri, it's been a quiet day. Could you just have sex with another object in the house, please?
Whoever does his PR, I mean, he's doing better than our PR guy, who sometimes watches the show. But I'm sorry, Julian.
I think you just meant to have a generic agent or PR guy that you use in those punchlines. I don't think you ever meant to, like, someone call my agent. Her number is, no, you're not meant to be that specific.
I didn't say his last name.
But no, it's right. I mean, for all the work that we may well have put in,
step up.
We are not as famous as a man who has sex with an ashtray with a fake vagina.
But I can you go back to the picture of the ashtray just quickly? Is it handy to do? Because it's not what I was expecting. It looks like a cabinet. Yeah. I don't understand.
I mean, I can understand a couple of things. Why he finds that sexually attractive, why he'll never go back. It's quite, it's attractive, isn't it?
I mean, an ashtray is normally like on the top of a table with just little grooves in it. And I mean, what kind of ashtray is that? Like a outdoor ashtray?
Maybe.
Like a outside, like a bus stop?
You wouldn't trust him at a bus stop, would you?
No.
Or near anything.
Not if I had any kind of hole in me.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he's attracted to. Just holes.
He actually said he was attracted to its brutal smell. In fact, it was before I did the terrible...
Brutal smell.
Before I did the terrible came across joke. There was more in that sentence, but I went for the obvious one. Here it is. He said it was intrigued by its brutal scent and the touch of metal, which... touch of metal is what C3PO says when he needs to shit. I'm touching metal down here.
It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Some people say the last year and a half's been the worst in modern times, but
not yet. We're not even reached the depths yet. I got big butts and I cannot lie, says iBogey. Nice. Chris Hood says, where's Larry? Let's never do a crossover. I think those two worlds couldn't exist.
Yep. He's very much a radio creature, I think. Yeah. In the Essex area.
Available on radio. Time FM, drive time, but not tomorrow. JML says, Mark, don't do a sex toy, but they do have a toy, the Fun Slinger. I'll Google for that later. Although Chris says, I asked JML for a JML sex toy once when shopping, and that's why I'm banned from Tesco. Oh, nuts. Where is it? I think it got lost in the copy across to the new version. Beep, gag, weird science, sports. Oh, no. I don't think we've got it anymore.
Oh. Well, this is the beginning of, is it Series 6?
Yeah. We can't leave that joke.
So
thank God. Thank God.
There we go. There we are.
Whew.
Call back.
Or as I said on Twitter recently, I keep doing the same joke again and again about Tesco. And that's why I'm banned from Tesco. So, I think we're done. We're sorted. Hopefully you've enjoyed your televisual entertainment. Pop up the old Ko-fi link. You can chuck some money in the pot.
Yeah, and also now that live gigs are back, you can catch both of us live at various places. Just look us up where we're performing, and you can. My podcast is still coming out, American Exchange. I just interviewed Mary Trump again. Had a great conversation, and it was loads of fun. And then I think that's it. That's all the news of different things that we're doing, right, Steve? There's nothing else that you're doing, just on the radio bit, and that's it, right, Steve? That's all that's going on.
I'm sure there's something else. I'm sure.
Nope.
I'm sure I'm doing something.
No.
I'm sure there's a reason why I've not had carbohydrates for 2 weeks.
Go on.
For some reason, I've
Tell
been
us.
starving myself and worried about what I'm going to look like with even less hair than ever. On the telly again, Late Night MASH is back, or the new version. So we're on Dave, and I didn't realise they've bought adverts all over the place. I'm doing an afternoon show on Time FM, and they've started playing adverts for Late Night MASH, which is sweet. Sitting there hearing an advert for another thing I'm doing. And then I was on Talk Radio this morning, and they play ads for it as well, which seems like a really weird place to advertise. But, fair enough. It's a broad church.
Well, they go with controversy because Nish pisses off everyone that listens to that radio station.
Well, they're the people we need to get watching because they're, they can tweet about it then. I'm filming it tomorrow and it's on Thursday. And then I had a gig on Thursday, but it's been cancelled. So I'm actually going to get to sit there and watch it and be like, oh my God.
Live tweet. So there you go. So it won't be as good as this, obviously.
Yeah. I mean,
I can say that because I'm not on it.
If you're really into jokes about people having sex with ashtrays, this is better for you than Late Night MASH.
Definitely. And it's saying invest in hydroxychloroquine. I've cracked hydroxychloroquine. I can say that. I got to work on the intervecimen.
What? I don't think anything.
The name of the horse medication.
It's not meant to have semen in it. I'm fairly sure of that. You're thinking of the ashtray.
Horse semen. It's not an ashtray.
Isn't it ivermectin? Is that not the name of it?
Ivermectin.
Yeah. I went into the pharmacist and asked for ivermectin, and the pharmacist said, "Why the long face?" And I said, "It's because I'm a horse, and that's the only person who should be buying it. You bunch of idiots."
And then you're like, "How are you a talking horse?" I have to say one more shot in the comments before we go. I'm having a T-shirt made for, it says Chris. That slogan says, "When I come to see a late night MASH filming." Oh, if Chris Curling comes to Late Night MASH, you have a comic solving problem shirt on.
Oh, just one that says, "And that's why I'm banned from Tesco." Is that the?
Or that might be it. But Victoria's comment, best comment of the night. Eric should be on the MASH too.
Yeah, it's not up to me. I'd say come on,
Dave.
Especially if you're going to wear a T-shirt.
It's not like Steve knows people there. You could say something, but
I've said things, but do you know how low down? I don't be too honest on this show. I don't want to get people in trouble, but you know how low down I am in the pecking order. I didn't get told which studio we were filming at until late last week, so I thought my Wednesday was going to be driving around all the various TV studios, turning up. Please, sir, looking through the frosted window. Please, sir, can I come and be on a TV show? I mean, I thought I was still in the show because I was in the press release, and that was all I knew. So thankfully, they gave me an address.
All you need to know. Because that's how talented you are. You just turn up, do the job. Because you've been practicing all this time for the last year and a half.
Honestly, have put on my to-do list after we've done the show. I might make clips, but I definitely am going to sit here and practice my Tom from the MASH Report voice. I need to practice my impression of myself to make sure it's ready for tomorrow.
It's very
conscientious or not very capable. It's one or the other. Difficult to know.
Yeah. Well, it's been a long time. It makes sense. We all have to check back in with ourselves now.
Yeah. The headlines. Yeah, got it.
Don't have to do it now. That just rubs it in. Right. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel. Please, if you have a couple quid you'd like to throw us, that always does help. Even if Steve's on telly, I'm not. So we appreciate the support. And we're going to be back next Tuesday.
Yeah, we're back now. I think it's every Tuesday. There are no Tuesdays that we couldn't do.
Pretty much every Tuesdays, unless something comes up really exciting, like I get a TV show, which could happen. Could happen.
Yeah. Look, I mean, if I somehow can be anywhere near telly, anyone can be on telly. I'm aware of that.
Thanks.
I get that.
Not just GB News.
Yeah. But also we are on there. I did that on Sunday as well. Are you back? Have you got some more of that coming up?
No, thanks for bringing it up.
No, but I mean, you just have to get in touch and then get ready for all of the comments on Twitter and TikTok telling you off for it.
Yeah, there we go. Even Louis Schaefer's on television.
He was a pleasure to work with.
He's brilliant.
Did you see the bit where he was talking about all the Americans in Nunhead? I don't know if you saw. I think I've recorded most of it, so I could lift it as a clip. Because he lives in Nunhead. He was talking about how there's a lot of Americans in Nunhead, and he said, people who want to decolonize places, are they going to want to try and get rid of the Americans from Nunhead? And I looked at him and went, no, just one. No, it felt so scary.
You would have loved that.
Yeah. Well.
That's great. But yeah, Louis, he's brilliant. Right. Shall we see you next week?
Yeah, I think we're all sorted. We'll see you next week, or whatever comes first. Till next time. I can't remember which key to press. Let's see if it's this one. Bye. Thank you for watching this from Comic Solving Problems.
And if you feel like it, go ahead and like the video.
Or subscribe. Commitment.